welcome to Joe's Learning Hub, a one-stop channel for teacher trainees. In today's session, you'll be listening to peer tutoring. Before we understand what peer tutoring is, let me explain what a peer means. A peer is a person of the same age, status, or ability, someone who is of your own age. He or she is called as a peer. And then next, we'll see what the term tutor means. A tutor is a person who provides assistance to one or more people on certain subject areas or skills. Such a person is called as a tutor. So from the terms peer and tutor, you would have understood now what peer tutoring is. So it is one of the methods of learning which is done among the students. This peer tutoring is one of the student-centered methods of teaching, and this is used by the teachers so that as it is flexible and it involves students serving as academic tutors and tutees. So the person who is tutoring a subject area or skill is called as the tutor, and the one who is listening to the tutor is called as a tutee. So this is peer tutoring. A higher performing student paired with a lower performing student to study difficult areas. Now let's see about the characteristics of peer tutoring. The peer tutor establishes a rapport with the tutee in such a way that a teacher cannot do. A teacher cannot have a good rapport with the student, as the students may find it embarrassing to ask doubts in front of the other class members. So in such cases, a peer tutoring will be helpful, and so the tutee may ask doubts to the peer tutor, as he or she will establish a good rapport with the tutee. So the tutor can establish a rapport with the tutee in a way that a teacher cannot. And then the next characteristic is the peer tutor is seen by the tutee as being more at their own level. As I told earlier, there is a good rapport between peer tutor and the peer tutee. And then the next thing is advice given by the tutor may be accepted more readily than advice from the teacher. A teacher's advice is always bitter to the learners. Hence, an advice given by the person of his own age would be much more acceptable to the tutee. And then a peer tutor will not give any grade on the paper, whereas a teacher does. The duty of the peer tutor is only to teach or tutor the difficult areas of a subject or difficult skills. He or she cannot give any grades during the examinations or during any tests. So these are the characteristics of peer tutoring. As this is one of the student-centered methods of teaching, why should you choose peer tutoring? Peer tutoring can be chosen because it is a widely researched practice across ages, grade levels, and subject areas. You may have been doing this with your school friends or among your graduate level friends during your exam times without even knowing the terminology that is behind it. So this is the peer tutoring. It is widely used practice across ages and grade levels and subject areas. Next is the intervention allows students to receive one-to-one assistance. Definitely one friend can help the other to cover the difficult areas of a subject. And then students have increased opportunities to respond in smaller groups. The peer tutoring happens in smaller groups and they can respond to one another on one-on-one basis. And next is it promotes academic and social development for both the tutor and the tutee. Why? Because both the tutor and the tutee are of the same age and status or ability. And then next, student engagement and time on task increases. Then last thing is peer tutoring increases self-confidence and self-efficacy of both the tutor as well as the tutee. So these are the reasons why peer tutoring is more prevalent among the student-centered teaching methodologies. Next, we'll move on to the types of peer tutoring. There are 5 models of peer tutoring. They are Classwide peer tutoring, cross-age peer tutoring, peer-assisted learning strategies, reciprocal peer tutoring, and same-age peer tutoring. Let us see one after the other in detail. First, let me explain what is class-wide peer tutoring. This class-wide peer tutoring is nothing but it involves the entire class, which is divided into groups of 2 or 5 students with differing ability levels. A class of 30 or 40 is divided into small groups having 2 to 5 students, which has both a higher performing student and a lower performing student, as well as a mediocre performing student. And then students act as tutors and tutees. In this class-wide peer tutoring, they can take the role of both tutors as well as tutees. It also involves structured procedures, direct rehearsal, competitive teams, and posting of scores. So in this kind of tutoring, there are marks that are awarded in the team itself, in the group itself. So this is class-wide peer tutoring, wherein which the whole class is involved and they are broken up into smaller groups. And the next type is cross-age peer tutoring. I think you should have understood by the term itself, cross-age. That is, older students are paired with younger students to teach a skill. Here, the pairing happens in such a way that the person who is elder or older is paired with a younger student. The position of tutor and tutee do not change. In class-wide peer tutoring, we had the tutors and the tutees changing their positions. Anyone can be a tutor or a tutee. But in cross-age peer tutoring, the positions of tutor and tutee do not change at all. The older student always serves as the tutor and the younger student is the tutee. This arrangement is so beneficial for students with disabilities as they may serve as tutors for younger students. So this cross-age peer tutoring is mostly prevalent in classes where there are students with disabilities, where the older students try to help the younger students. So this is about cross-age peer tutoring. And the next tutoring type is, or the tutoring model is, peer assisted learning strategy, or it is called as PALS. This peer assisted learning strategy is one of the versions of class-wide peer tutoring model, which involves a teacher pairing students who need additional instruction or help with a peer who can assist. So here the teacher pairs one of the students with another student who needs additional instruction or additional help other than what he knows. So here the groups are flexible and change often across a variety of subject areas or skills. Here the groups are not static, they can change and they are flexible. All students have the opportunity to function as a tutor or tutee at differing times. As you have seen in class-wide tutoring, there is change of positions between tutor and tutee. Anyone can be a tutor and anyone can be a tutee at any time, since this is one of the versions of class-wide peer tutoring. And then students are typically paired with other students who are at the same skill level. There is no discrepancy at all. So this is peer assisted learning strategy. In this peer assisted learning strategy, only the pairing happens only for additional instruction and not for the studying of a total concept. Next, we'll move on to reciprocal peer tutoring. In this reciprocal peer tutoring, there are 2 or more students who act as tutor and tutee during each section with equitable time in each role. That is, it is reciprocal. The 2 students who are involved in this reciprocal peer tutoring, they exchange the roles as a tutor and tutee during each session. Suppose for one subject, A acts as a tutor and B acts as a tutee, and then for the another session, B will act as a tutor and A will act as a tutee. So it is reciprocal between 2 students. So this is reciprocal peer tutoring. And the last model of peer tutoring is same age peer tutoring. There is no hard and fast rules. The pairing happens either on a similarity between the ability levels, or a student with advanced skill level can be paired with a student with a less advanced skill level. This same age peer tutoring, just like the class-wide peer tutoring, can be completed within the student's classroom itself. So in one way, it is like a class-wide peer tutoring. The procedures are more flexible than traditional class-wide peer tutoring configurations. So here the students can exchange their views, ideas based on their ability levels. So this is same age peer tutoring. So these are the models of peer tutoring. Now, since this is a student-centered teaching methodology, what is the role of the teacher in peer tutoring? The teacher's role is very significant because the teacher has to select the tutors more carefully, because the tutees must get as much help from the tutors. So the teacher's role is more significant, and also she must be mindful of differing student personalities, needs and preferences. She should be very careful in pairing the students so that they do not have any difference of opinions. They can also gel together. Such groups of students can get more marks. So teachers must be very careful in forming groups of the students. And the next thing is, groups should be established according to their ranks or skills. So the teacher must also keep in mind the students' skills as well as their ranks while grouping the students. And then the teacher has to closely monitor student progress to ensure that the procedures are carefully followed and students utilize their interpersonal skills and content is covered. So just because peer tutoring is happening, the teacher cannot be happily resting. She has to closely monitor the progress in the group. Whatever peer tutoring model is taking place, the teacher has to be very careful in monitoring the progress of the students. Otherwise, the students would be let loose and there will be no use of following this peer tutoring model of teaching. So, my dear students, today you have learnt what is peer tutoring, the characteristics of peer tutoring, why a teacher should choose peer tutoring, and also the different models of peer tutoring. I shall meet you again with yet another topic. Until then, take care.